Ryan, I have to start this one out. Well, first of all, Ryan, it's good to be back with you. I don't know what it feels like anymore to be on Listen Up. I'll be honest with you now. So let me start this one out by just saying I received several phone calls and actually text messages. You're not going to believe me. I know nobody else will. And they say, man, Ryan has the city of Stores, Connecticut going wild. They love Ryan's game recaps. They love it all. So, Ryan, I just wanted to let you know again, your hard work did not go unnoticed, and everyone loves them game recaps. Even me, I took a lot out of both of them that you did by yourself. And what a weekend, huh? What a weekend as we're here to actually go over the next game coming up against Providence. But man, it's hard not to talk about the excellent weekend that UConn came off of.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they did say that, but I definitely appreciate it. No problem at all. I love doing the recaps. If you're not able to go on, doesn't affect me at all. But yeah, we had a great time recapping those games, and of course, it helped that UConn did win both of those last week and improved to 5-0. So really good start for UConn, but another matchup, another date with Providence starting the Big East matchups already on Friday. And then, of course, another big game right after that again on Sunday against Notre Dame at Notre Dame. Big one on ABC. But first, got to get through the Providence Friars.
That's right. On Friday, December the 2nd, 7 o'clock, Ryan, Providence, number 3, Connecticut. Before we get into this last check in, Providence versus Connecticut, I just wanted to ask you, obviously the last game that we saw against Caitlin Clark and company. What did you take away from that? Because all of a sudden we were almost to the point where, oh my gosh, Phil might be right. If AZ Fudd goes cold, man, I don't know. There's a lot of, let me just say, I get it. There's a lot of star players on this team. I mean, Nika Mule, Aaliyah Edwards, right? And the list goes on and on. And the commentator on Fox or whatever the game was broadcasted on, I think the first one of the tournament, she was talking about how Aaliyah Edwards, I believe she said Aaliyah Edwards might be the star player, the best overall player on this roster. And I thought to myself, I took a step back and I'm like, man, it's hard, man, to just pick one, So I get it. But Ryan, your takeaways, because again, I did watch your game recap, but again, I wanted to discuss with you while I'm actually here this time. What did you take away from that game where we saw AZ Fudd go cold there for a while? Iowa almost had them, but then they didn't. So again, any major concern moving forward as far as when AZ Fudd doesn't score? Because I get it. We have other players on this team that can score perfectly fine. But you saw Iowa, again, Iowa played a very close ball game, something that I would say that we're just not normal. It's not normal to see. I guess that's what you would put it that way, not normal to see around the city of UConn all that often. Now, I get it. Iowa is a very good basketball team, but that first half really, really was scary.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, I don't really have any concern because we've seen these past two games with UConn playing Duke and then with UConn playing Iowa. AZ Fudd was kind of cold, I believe, in the second half of Duke, I think. And I know in the first half versus Iowa, she couldn't really make any shots. And Lou Lopez as well didn't make any shots either in that Iowa game in the first half. And it was really Aaliyah Edwards. And that's why she got the MVP of the Phil Knight Legacy Tournament. She was selected as the MVP. She was just so consistent in both of those games versus Duke and Iowa, just scoring points, always being aggressive, getting rebounds, creating turnovers, all of that stuff. She was just amazing throughout that tournament, like we saw during her freshman year. And of course, last year during her sophomore year, we wanted to see more from her, and she kind of had an off year compared to her freshman year. But now this year, starting here, third year in UConn, Aaliyah Edwards has really been a vital piece of this team. So, and we've seen, I think, all of these wins. It hasn't just been AZ Fudd, even though she scored 32 points, I think, in back-to-back games. It hasn't been all AZ Fudd. It's been the whole team, especially on the defensive side of things. I think the whole team is very solid of course, Nika Mule, I think, is the leader and gets everybody fired up on defense. But Nika Mule's assist, Aaliyah Edwards playing great defense. Lou Lopez can shoot the lights out as well. So, I mean, everybody coming from this team, coming off the bench or in the starting lineup, I think everybody contributes their own, they play their own role, contributes their own game to the team. And, I think that's great to see. And I hope to see that moving forward.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I was very surprised. Well, not surprised, but it was really good to see Lou Lopez Seneschal really show up in that game against Iowa. I believe it was Iowa, right? Where she almost had the most points scored by any player in that last game.
Yeah.
So again, very very incredible weekend of basketball. But with that said, again, the last check-in video, I have to apologize, Ryan. We never predicted the star player of the game or we didn't have a last check-in between the weekend between those two games, but we didn't go with the star player of the game, and then we did not predict the score on the last check-in. So we have to make sure, you have to remind me to do that if I forget. A lot of good comments, Ryan. It's really it's amazing. It's amazing to see a lot of good comments coming through. But we'll go ahead and get down to the Providence Friars. Ryan, what do you have for me? A lot of talent again on this team. I believe they come in. I'm looking right now. I think they come in 6-2 on the season,
Yeah.
I believe. So again, Providence, we're moving into now the conference games. All right. And this is where a lot of people, I heard rumors about, man, you got to watch it because this conference is, they have some talent other than UConn because we're so used to UConn dominating, especially in their own conference. But I feel like that this year is just going to be a little bit different. I'm not saying this game, a fat L, a fat loss, but I strongly believe that, and this is for conversation down the road. We're just focused on Providence right now. I don't know if UConn can win every conference game this season on the schedule.
Well, Creighton, Villanova, and Marquette definitely look good, but I'm not too sure about Providence having a chance about versus UConn. But
Okay.
Providence has a fairly young team, a lot of sophomores, also a team that only plays 3 forwards. So I think size is going to be a little problem, especially versus UConn. But Emily Archibald, Olivia Olson, the only starting forwards on this team, and senior Logan Cook, a former Iowa Hawkeye, actually coming off the bench for the Providence Friars. And those are the only 3 forwards on this team. The rest of the players are all guards. Kylie Shepard, Bryn Farrell, former Florida Gator, transfer from Florida. Janiah Krum, she's probably the biggest name on this team. Played for Ohio State, Michigan State. This is her second year in Providence. It'll be her last. She is a senior this year, but I expect Bryn Farrell and Janiah Crooms to probably be the most productive scorers for this Providence team in this game. Coming off the bench, along with the forward Logan Cook, is 4 more guards: Audrey Koch, Megan Herter, who has also started a couple games this season, I believe. So we might see Megan Herter instead of Kylie Shepard in the starting lineup. We'll have to see on Friday when the lineups get announced. But Grace Afosa and Cami Ludwig are the last 2 guards coming off the bench. So like I said, Providence is a really small team. Olivia Olson is their tallest player at 6'1". So I would expect another big game. Just talked about her, Aaliyah Edwards. She played great in those 2 games. She was really aggressive, named the MVP of the tournament. So I hope she stays aggressive in this game and continues to shoot her mid-range shot. That's really been working for her the past couple games. And teams really, they haven't figured that out yet. They're not really guarding her out there. So I hope she continues to shoot that, be aggressive, play great defense. And I think UConn should also dominate the glass as well. Don't allow Providence to get any second chance points at all. I think that's one thing that's UConn kind of struggled with a little bit this season, is boxing out and letting teams get offensive rebounds, second chance points. So, if they can eliminate that from this game, that will be a big help as well. I'm sure the defense will dominate like we're used to seeing, and not really sure if this game's going to be all that close, but Providence Friday night, Janiah Kroom's probably the one to look out for.
Wow. All right. Well, I can't wait to to hear your score prediction at the end. Yeah, you're right. I mean, they're again, this is a team we're talking about that have not gotten tested yet, in my opinion, right? When you talk about the level that UConn is at. So again, Ryan, I think that it's very important as far as setting up the scoring. And what I talk about is especially Nika Mule, man. I mean, the way I was able to switch back to CBS when the Ravens game was on, and then ABC some on Sunday when the game was delayed, the football game. But to see how UConn, I'm finally able to see close up what you all speak about as far as the steals. I mean, 1 second you think that the opposing team is coming down and driving the ball, right, and scoring, but in the blink of an eye, I'm sitting there on the couch, I'm like on the chair, and I'm like, did that? It's almost like that's how quick that these UConn Huskies can come up with steals. And again, obviously, it's dangerous for the opposition because when you have players like that, they can take the ball out of your hands that quick. That leaves nobody on the other end of the floor. So that's easy too, huh?
Yeah, transition is obviously a really big thing for UConn, and that's another thing that makes them so good because there's really no other team, I think, in all of women's college basketball that can out hustle UConn. They're going to out hustle every single team when they get out in transition. Like you said, it's pretty much an easy 2 points when they create those turnovers and get the steals. So, that's always going to be something that's going to work for UConn. And defense as well. And Nika Mule continues to rack up assists, getting 10 plus in every single game. So the flow of the UConn offense is definitely, I think, improving. We saw it improve a lot comparing the first half and the second half to that Iowa game. The second half it seemed like a totally different offense. They got kind of more back to playing their style of game, and they really got the offense flowing. And we saw AZ Fudd and Lou Lopez Seneschal continue to make shots. And of course, Aaliyah Edwards she had a really good game as well. So hopefully the offense continues to flow Friday night. I'm sure the defense will be there, second chance points, and creating steals for UConn.
And no surprise, I don't know if you saw, when a shout out to Edwards. She was named the Big East Player of the Week. No surprise there. That was announced on the 28th, Ryan, on Monday. So job well done by Edwards. And again, yeah, that's I wouldn't argue that one bit. She definitely put on a performance to be remembered. And as the UConn Huskies are the Phil Knight champions, Ryan. Let's get into some comments before we get out of here. And the comments are and then we'll go into the predictions for this next game coming up. This was your show, Ryan. This was your video. UConn Huskies survive versus Iowa, win 5th straight. And you have to remember, I know people get tired of me saying it, Ryan. That's without Paige Beckers and Dorka Juhas.
Yeah,
I didn't remember that. Now, obviously, I know about Beckers, but I had to think, man, without Dorka Juhas too, they put on one heck of a performance.
Yeah, it seems like they hardly skip a beat. It's pretty
watch
amazing.
Watch out for my prediction when it comes time to South Carolina on that schedule. That's all I'm saying, huh? Let's go into comments again. Rachel Fight, Ryan goes, Aaliyah Edwards was named the MVP of this tournament. So well deserved. Also, the bench interview with Coach P was A1 content. Loved that.
Yeah, that was really funny to watch. The commentators put her on, mic'd her up for a couple minutes and asked her a couple questions. And while they were asking her questions, I think she's continuing to hype up the team. And I forget which player made a shot, but continue to cheer him on. So it's great to see that Paige is having fun despite obviously the horrible injury she suffered. But it's great to see her just having fun with her teammates, cheering them on the bench. And of course, Coach P is coaching them up pretty good there on the bench. But yeah, like I said already, Aaliyah Edwards has had a pretty amazing past couple 2 or 3 games. So let's hope she keeps it up.
How about Iva as a regular on this podcast? Thanks, Iva, for commenting 19 hours ago. The season is long. Gino needs to rest AZ and Nika for at least a couple of minutes per game. AZ is Nika's rest and vice versa, but they both played 40 minutes. I bet in Notre Dame game, they will again play 40 minutes. Edwards is worthy of MVP. How she played against Duke and now Iowa proves that. And Ducharme is back. Finally, they can breathe a little until Dorka comes back, and they will breathe a little more.
Yeah, and I think we saw it in that Duke game. I believe that all the players did get to play in that game, and Ines got to come off the bench along with Amari. But I would agree with that. I think any close game, that the UConn's not leading by about 20 points with probably 3 or 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, the starters they're going to continue to stay in, and players like Nika Mule and AZ Fudd, Aaliyah Edwards, maybe even Lou Lopez Seneschal as well is probably going to play 38, 39, maybe the whole game, 40 minutes. So it'd definitely be good if some of the players can kind of give the AZ Fudd and those players rest. But when the game's that close, I just don't think, Gino's going to make that decision to put players like Amari DeBerry and Ines Betancourt in the game. But yeah, I mean, Aaliyah had a heck of a tournament, of course. And let's hope she can keep it up.
Michael Lawson goes, here we go. I'm loving this. I feel like that this is respect. This is what I call this because I feel like a lot of these UConn players aren't really compared to Aaliyah Boston enough. And I'm talking about that's not disrespect when I say that. That should be actually considered more often because, hey, you have to question, man, just because we talk about South Carolina number one week after week. Plus, they beat them in the championship. All right, well, get over it, Ryan. It's okay. But what I'm saying is, Ryan, you have to question, man. Our overall, man, I mean, we hear so much about Boston, Boston, Boston. This comment here might open your eyes a little bit. Michael Lawson goes, whose double-double is better, Aaliyah Boston or Aaliyah Edwards? Maybe, just maybe, and UConn might be okay with this, Ryan. Maybe it's not Aaliyah Boston in that top spot as best player. I'm just saying, not to get anybody fired up.
Yeah, and to mention Iva's going back to that last comment about Caroline Ducharme, she definitely is back. She played great in that game against Iowa. She was definitely a big reason why they also won that game, especially in the second half. But yeah, I'd have to probably go with the Leah Edwards these past 3 games. She's pretty much probably almost averaging a double-double. And I would assume probably Aaliyah Boston is as well. But Aaliyah Edwards has certainly had a heck of a past 3 games. And I'd have to go with her side so far this season.
Thomas Varela, we have a team of intense competitors. Even when we hit a bad patch, we don't quit.
No, they don't, and that's something special to see as well because that first half really was a grind against Iowa. It wasn't easy at all. And I think UConn was only trailing Iowa by about 6 points in the first half, and it seemed like they were down a lot more than that. So just UConn's ability to just keep fighting, to stay in the game, obviously not giving up, but just their continuing to fight and stay in that game and grind it out. And they came out at halftime and played great. It was a little struggle there to begin that third quarter as well. But Gino called a timeout, probably fired them up a little bit, and they started rolling after that. So it's great to see that this group of kids and girls can stay in games and fight. And they've won all 5 of these games kind of in a different way. So it's good to see that, and that's going to pay off towards the end of the season and going into March Madness.
Let's go down to Michael Lawson one more time. Ryan, I doubt about what you said about other teams using that style of defense to stop UConn. Iowa is a highly skilled basketball team, unlike some of the teams in the Big East. And besides, all of UConn players outside the arc is not going to go cold at the same time.
Yeah, well, let's hope not, because that's what happened in the first half, but they figured it out in the second half. But I just think, that's why I said in that game recap, I think both teams learned a lot. And I would assume that Gino is probably going to have the UConn players work on that and practice and kind of simulate that same zone. So if that does pop up again, and if another team tries to replicate what Iowa did, I'm sure UConn will be more ready for it and more prepared for it moving forward in the season. So I'm sure Gino is going to coach them a lot, even though they did win. It was a struggle, and Gino said that was a heck of a team to try to beat, and it was a fight. So I'm sure they're going to have a hard week at practice, even though they did win, so they can get more prepared going down the road.
Yeah, again, I just find it very weird. If you can comment on this before I read this last comment, and then we'll make our predictions. It's just interesting to see. Uh, I don't know. I don't know how the way to say this, Ryan. There's just the easy FUD topic. It's just interesting because whether I guess a lot of people just don't want to admit it. I guess whether that they commented. I apologize if they did not comment that, but I don't even know if you speak of it enough about AZ FUD. You know, all the comments that we've seen all throughout the summer, and I get it. You're going to pick an MVP sometimes that's not the player that scored the most points, and that's okay. Um, but at the same time, you know, I just find it weird how I don't know. Is there something wrong that we can't praise AZ FUD sometimes here or there, or I don't understand the knowledge behind the topic. I'm not too sure if I understand because why I bring that up because we had you and I. You tell me if I'm wrong. You tell me if you forget. You witnessed people on the show say over and over again how she cannot be a leader. And even when we see her step up, especially in second half of ball games, first half of ball games, her name is gone. It seems like to me.
Well, I think there was a lot of talk about that last season, and obviously when Paige Beckers came back, and
Mhm.
it kind of last season, I think when Paige Beckers went out due to that the similar injury that she has
Mhm.
this season, she
I'm
missed about.
basically, I don't want to cut you off there. Keep going, but I'm just asking you: are people mad because they are wrong, or you know, do they want to admit, hey, AZ FUD blossomed quicker than we thought? I have not heard that yet or seen it with my own two eyes.
Well, I think she definitely did blossom a lot
Mhm.
quicker than a lot of people think, and I honestly didn't think she would start out this hot either. So I mean,
Okay.
I give all the props in the world to
Okay.
AZ Fudd being able to
Got it.
step up, but I knew she had it in her
Okay.
because she played great her freshman year, and I think a lot of the concern maybe was that Caroline Ducharme picked
Mhm.
up a lot of the slack as well. And certainly she hasn't had the start she wanted because of injuries as well. But yeah, Izzy Futta has definitely played incredible, scoring 32 on back-to-back nights. And despite her struggling just a little bit these past two games, she's certainly doing her part, still scoring 20 points a game. But I think we all knew it as soon as Paige Beckers went out with that injury during this offseason. I think we all knew and kind of expected AZ Fudd to be the player that's going to step up and kind of
Yeah.
lead this team in terms of leading and scoring
Right.
pretty much every single night. But obviously there's other players on this team that
Yeah.
contribute.
Sure.
And I think so far, despite AZ Fudd stepping up and kind of leading the team in terms of offense, I think everybody's contributed to all of their wins so far.
Yep, sure thing. A team effort, and that's what I like to see. PT Eddie, and that takes me into the last comment. PT Eddie goes, another good show, Rye. I find it difficult to select one specific MVP for this game. Of course, we always lean toward the players who make the most points as the MVP. But in this game, I've got to lean toward Nika. Well, I'm just saying, Ryan, especially if it's a lot of points and a close ball game, where would the team be if it wouldn't be for that one specific player that poured in the buckets? But I'm going to continue. She just seems to be the gasoline for the UConn Mobile. I love watching her play. Actually, this UConn team plays as a team. Everyone contributes and does their job. They know their role and they do their jobs. Everyone seems to delight in the success of the other players, and everyone seems to be as happy to assist as to score. If there are no more injuries, these ladies are going to do some damage in women's basketball this year.
I would definitely agree with that. And I think Nika Mule had a very quiet 13 assists in that game. To me, it just didn't seem like she made as much as an impact as she did the past couple four games, but she still got 13 assists and played really good defense. But I mean, probably for every game that UConn's going to play, you could probably pick about two or three different players and make a really strong argument for them to be named the MVP of the game. But I just think AZ Fudd in the game versus Iowa, just her ability to come back after struggling through the first half, her ability to come out after halftime and pretty much drain every shot that she took. And she spoke about that after the game. she was really struggling, and her teammates, coaches just said, continue to shoot the ball because the next one's going to go in. And that's what she did. And she was a big reason why kind of just the whole UConn offense started to get going in that second half.
Predictions. I'm taking UConn, Ryan, easily in this next ball game. I will go ahead and say, I mean, this team is coming together quite nicely without Paige and Dorka in that lineup. Let's go ahead and go. I'll go ahead and go. Let's go 90-65. UConn over Providence on Friday.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to believe because we haven't really talked about it any since the injury got announced about Dorka Juhas's thumb.
Yeah.
But it's kind of amazing when you think about it. We really haven't noticed the absence of Dorka Juhas yet. So it's really just interesting. Obviously, when she's out on the court and in the starting lineup, she makes a really big impact and is a vital piece of this team. But despite her missing the past 3 games, it's really been amazing to just see Aubrey Griffin step into her place in the starting lineup. And UConn hasn't really missed a beat. But yeah, I have a similar score to this game as what you did. I'm going to go 93-68 UConn. And I'm going to say Aaliyah Edwards is the MVP of this game. I think she continues her hot streak, and I think she's going to have a really good game.
All right. And you're going, what's the final score again?
93-68.
93-68. Okay. And you're going, obviously, UConn.
Yeah.
And you're going Edwards as the MVP.
Yeah, I think she's going to continue her hot streak. She's had a really good past couple 3 games, obviously pretty much averaging a double-double. So I think she's going to continue that.
All right. And, I'm going with Ryan. AZ Fudd is the MVP
What
of
a
the game.
surprise.
Hey, and you know what? I think right as soon as we end this pod today, this last check-in against Providence, Ryan, I think just to let you know, not saying that anybody else cares, but just to let you know, Ryan, I think I'm going straight to the website and ordering me an AZ Fudd jersey, and I'm going to make a trip up there soon for a game. How's that?
Yeah, well, why don't you order me one too while you're at it?
All right, Ryan, listen up, presented by Dempsey's and Sportsland. Ryan, we will see you right back here. I won't, unfortunately, again, yes, I'm missing another one. But we will see you Friday for the game recap. Looking forward to it, and have a good week.